This is Chapter 3, Lesson 5, Graph a Line Using Intercepts. Okay, so last time we talked about the y equals mx plus b or slope-intercept form. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about that. Slope-intercept form, the blank of a line is the x-coordinate of the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. So the x-intercept of a line is the x-coordinate of the point where the graph crosses the x-axis. Since any linear equation can be graphed using 2 points, you can use the x and y intercepts to graph an equation. So, the example that they give me says, state the x and y intercepts of y equals 1.5x minus 9. Then use the intercepts to graph the equation. So first I find the y-intercept. Pretty simple, right? Remember from our equation, -9 is our y-intercept. Okay, to find the x-intercept, I let y equal 0. So I have 0 equals 1.5x minus 9. Now I'm going to solve for x. So I add 9 to both sides, which gives me 9 equals 1.5x, and then I divide both sides by 1.5. 9 divided by 1.5 gives me 6. So I have 6 equals x. Okay, so then I can graph the points 6, 0 and 0, -9 on a coordinate plane. Then I can connect the points. Okay, so you can see that example there. All right, standard form. When an equation is written in the form ax plus by equals c, where a is greater than 0 and a, b, and c are integers, it is written in blank blank. And those two blanks you're going to write standard form. Okay. So, Malden Middle School wants to make $4,740 from yearbooks. Print yearbooks X cost $60 and digital yearbooks Y cost $15. This can be represented by the equation 60X plus 15Y equals 4,740. So I'm going to use the X and Y intercepts to graph the equation. To find the x-intercept, let y be 0. To find the y-intercept, let x be 0. Okay? So, I'm going to plug in 0 for x and solve. Okay, when I do that, I get y equals 316. Okay? When I did that, when I made x 0, 60 times 0 gives me 0, so I'm left with 15y equals 4,740. And then I divided both sides by 15. Okay. When I let y be 0, I get 60x equals 4,740. And I divide by 60, so I get x equals 79. Okay, so part 3 wants me to interpret the x and y intercepts. So I've graphed them. Y equals 316, x equals 79, so I have this line right here, okay? So what this basically means, the x-intercept is at the point 79, 0. This means they can sell 79 print yearbooks and 0 digital yearbooks to earn $4,740. The y-intercept is at the point 0, 316. This means they can sell 0 print yearbooks and 316 digital yearbooks to earn $4,740. Okay, so there are a couple try it problems on this page. Go ahead, try them out, and when you are done, we will go over the answers together. All right, now that you've tried the try it problems on your own, let's go over the answers together. So the first 2, A and B, ask you to graph the lines, and they're both in slope-intercept form. Okay, so letter A says y equals negative 1/3 x plus 5. Okay, so I already know for letter A. Okay. So that's the equation they give me. I already know B, my y-intercept is 5. Okay, so that's 0, 5. So when I go to graph the equation. But I need to figure out my x-intercept. So I'm going to let y equal 0 to figure out what my x-intercept is. So negative 1/3 x plus 5 equals 0. I want to subtract 5 from both sides. So I get negative 1/3 x equals negative 5. And then I want to divide both sides by negative 1/3. So remember, when I divide fractions, I keep my first, change my sign, flip my second. So negative 5 times negative 3 gives me a positive 15. So x equals 15. So that point is 15, 0. Okay? So when I go back to letter A, okay, so my 2 points are 0, 5 and 15, 0. So the first one tells me to go to 0, go to 5, which is about right here. Okay, and the second one tells me to go to 15, which is about right there. Okay. And then I'm going to use some sort of straight edge to graph my line. So I'm lining up. Here's my 2 points. Here's my graph. Okay. So that's for letter A. Letter B says y equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. Okay, so my B equals 3. So 0, 3 is my y-intercept. So I need to find my x-intercept. So I'm going to take 0 equals negative 3/2 x plus 3. Subtract 3 from both sides. Okay, so I get negative 3 equals negative 3/2 x. Divide both sides by negative 3/2. So I get negative 3 over 1 divided by negative 3/2. Okay, remember I keep, change, flip. This cancels with this. Okay, so negative 1 times negative 2 gives me positive 2. That's my x value. So 2, 0 is my other intercept. Back to B. Okay. So my 2 points that I'm graphing are 0, 3 and 2, 0. Okay, so 0, 3 is right there. 2, 0 is right there. Use my straight edge again to make my graph. Okay. So that gives me letter B. Okay. Letter C says Mr. Davies spent $230 on lunch for his class. Sandwiches X cost $6 and drinks Y cost $2. This can be represented by the equation 6x plus 2y equals 230. Use the x and y intercepts to graph the equation, then interpret the intercepts. Okay, So letter C. I have 6x plus 2y equals 230. Okay, so I'm going to plug in 0 for y. Okay, so that gives me 6x equals 230. I divide both by 6. Which gives me 38.3 repeating. Okay. And then I'm going to take and plug in 0 for x. So I get 2y equals 230. Divide both sides by 2. So y equals 115. Okay, so those are my 2 points. So I have 38 1/3, comma 0, and 0, comma 115. Okay, so now I have those points. So the first one, 38.3 is about there on the graph, and 115 is about here on the graph, roughly. It's not exactly perfect, but it's pretty close. Okay, take a straight edge, draw my line. Okay. Then I want to interpret what I know. Okay. So this tells me, so for my x-intercept, since x is $6, that's the sandwiches, I could buy 38 1/3 sandwiches for $230, and the y-intercept tells me that I could buy 115 drinks for $230. Okay, and that is the end of lesson 5.